This is the Brian Noe Show.
What was the plan?
On NBC Sports Northwest, 620 Rip City Radio.
All right, very pleased to welcome in Tom William Kalakis Haberstroh, NBA insider for NBC Sports, joining us here on the Brian Noe Show. How you doing, my man? How's everything going? You're looking great today.
Yeah, I shaved. So I'm upset a little bit because I joined you on the show today without my handlebar mustache that I was rocking yesterday. You know why? I'm raising money for ALS. My mother has ALS, and I'm trying to raise money for ALS research. And someone who's battling ALS started a campaign, Handlebars for Hope. And it's all these dudes with their quarantine beards. He came up with the idea, Pat Quinn. Pat Quinn came up with the idea of like, hey, we should all shave handlebar mustaches from our quarantine beards and try to, raise some awareness and money. So I decided to do it. And then I realized like I kind of looked like an extra from like American History X a little bit. And I was going on a run this morning outside in public, and I just felt odd. So I decided to shave it, and I got some good pictures from it. So I can share that with the audience if they so please.
Yeah, man. Well, I was anticipating handlebar this morning. I really was.
Brian, let me ask you this. When you have a Hulk Hogan mustache that goes all the way down, is that a handlebar or is that a Fu Manchu?
No, I think that's a handlebar. It's got to be. Yeah. Handlebar.
So I think the technical definition of a handlebar mustache is the little twirl on the sides of your mouth.
Oh, okay. Like Raleigh fingers?
Yes. Raleigh fingers and any like 1920s villain. The handlebar that I did, I thought it was a handlebar, like Rod Beck, the reliever for the San Francisco Giants and the Red Sox. Shout out to Rod Beck, R.I.P. I had always thought that was a handlebar mustache, but I've been corrected. My father actually texted me and said, "That's not a handlebar, son." And I was like, "Oh no." So I guess I did that all just for naught. But
wow.
Yeah, we're raising money. So hit up my Twitter at Tom Haberstroh if you want to have some fun.
That's awesome, man. Now, I got to ask the obvious follow-up question. The Rod Beck, what we thought was a handlebar, that's indeed Fu Manchu?
I believe so. I believe by the technical, and maybe there's a beard connoisseur in the audience that can correct me on this, but I do believe that the Rod Beck, where there's no flavor saver here, it's just straight down like a horseshoe. Yeah. And that, or like a staple, like you get a stapler out and you get the little staple like this. Uh-huh. That's a Fu Manchu.
Wow. I did not know that, man. That's crazy. Interesting. Good stuff right there. We had a whole conversation before we get to hoops about things that confuse us in terms of grammar, right? Like we greeted each other. You're like, how you doing, man? I'm like, I'm great. And I went on this diatribe where I'm making strides here. I typically said, I'm doing great. And there were a lot of people saying, hey, Brian, you shouldn't actually say that. Superman is doing great. Like, you're not actually doing great.
Hospital
so it's taken me years
doing
to
great.
Doing.
Yeah, doctors doing great. Yes, they're doing great things. Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of assuming in that, though, right?
Yeah, and I think you also, if you're saying I'm doing great, people might assume that you're doing great. You're great. And maybe that's not accurate. Sometimes you're just like doing okay. Maybe you're okay. You should be okay. Wait. So if is saying I'm doing okay, that seems bad too.
Now you raise a great question. I think, grammar stickler would still be like, But my guess is this. I think there's going to be a whole lot more pushback if someone says I'm doing great. And they're like, are you really? If you're like, I'm doing okay, they just sort of shrug their shoulders and say, that's permissible.
Yeah. I'm doing great moves the conversation more.
Right.
So if you say, I'm doing all right, people are like, wait, whoa, what's going on? Everything okay? And you're like, yeah, everything's okay.
Not nearly as much pushback, though. Right.
Yeah. So if you're just trying to get that conversation done, or you're trying to move on with your day, you got busy things to do, you got places to be, people to see, you say, I'm doing great. And that won't have a pause. My mother gets on me all the time if if she says thank you, like let's say I bring her a glass of water or something like that, and she says thank you, and I say no problem. She hated that as a kid. She was like, no, say you're welcome. Don't say no problem, because I was not inferring that it was a problem that you are solving. It's not by saying no problem, you're suggesting that, hey, there was a problem, but you know what? Not to me. It's not a problem. So she always taught me to say, you're welcome. That's more proper than when you say no problem.
How about this? Because no worries is big in Australia. Big.
Same, I think in the same family there.
Does she need to take a trip to Australia and say, we got to discontinue no worries here because you're implying that this could have caused you worry?
Yeah, I think you're right. But now we can just Zoom with people in Australia, so we don't have to actually be there. If we've learned anything from this pandemic, it's that we can reach people from across the world. So it's we could go for hours on grammar.
We really
but you know what? I'm neither good at words nor numbers, and so me as a professional writer that writes about statistics, not a good combo.
That's hilarious, man. He's Tom William Kalakis Haberstroh, NBA insider for NBC Sports. A very seamless segue here. How about this? You're talking about Zoom meetings. Mark Cuban was talking about piping in crowd noise from people at home, where I don't know if they're going to use Zoom or what they would use. I love the concept. I just don't see how it could possibly work. You're going to have thousands of Zoom meetings. You might have people cursing up a storm. It might not be in real time when someone dunks the ball and then 6 seconds later you hear cheering. I don't think it would work at all.
Yeah, and if someone cusses at LeBron or cusses at Damian Lillard, we need to have enough people that it drowns out that cussing, right? But then I thought, well, that happens already in NBA games, so what are we worried about? I think the issue is that it's NBA authorized. Like the NBA is authorizing people to cuss at the players, which is not a good idea. I thought the same thing when Mark Cuban mentioned that. I was like, what does he mean by that? Like, is it going to be like one family just like getting piped in, or is it going to be like thousands of people on a Zoom call? And I don't know. I have trouble as it is managing like 4 people on a Zoom call, and I can't imagine if it's 4,000.
Could you even do that? What's the limit? Have you ever tried to max out on a Zoom call? Get everybody you know on one of those bad boys?
I'm proud to say that I've never attempted more than like 5 people.
That's where we're heading. It used to be like, hey, man, what do you bench? Like, what's your max? Now it's Zoom calls. Like, how many people have you maxed out in one Zoom call?
Well, if we know Kyrie Irving had something like 80 people listening, 80 players listening to his speech on Zoom, which at that point, it would be like a kaleidoscope. Or it's like, you know what it would be? You know those like the art where they take one photo? Oh, no. So it's almost like a magic eye, but it's one photo. But if you walk closer to it, you realize it's like 1,000 photos that make a mosaic of Michael Jordan dunking a basketball or something like that. That's what I would imagine a Zoom call with like 80 people looks like.
By the way, fun fact before we circle back to hoops, the movie Silence of the Lambs, right? The moth on Jodie Foster's mouth. It's a little skull on like the head of the moth. It's what you're talking about. It's like 8 naked women laying around each other, and that's what makes the design of the skull on the moth.
Wow. So you just blew my mind. I'll do one further here. The FedEx logo has an arrow in it.
Yes. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That one blows people's minds sometimes. If you look closely at a FedEx logo, there is a little arrow in the design. And the Milwaukee Brewers logo is brilliant. Do you know that one?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure I know that one.
So you know the classic Milwaukee Brewers logo? It looks like a baseball glove.
Yeah.
Well, if you look closer, it's an M and a B.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to look closer on that.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
It's brilliant. So, yeah, go check that out.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. He's Tom Haberstroh. Okay, I got a hard line stance here, Tom Haberstroh. I want to hear what you think about this. I am anti-polo shirts on the bench. If you look at this, the NBA is okaying. They're green lighting NBA coaches, they don't have to wear suits and ties. They could wear polo shirts on the bench. And my thinking is this. I don't want to invite even more of a summer league feel or the Maui Invitational in college basketball, where it's already going to feel like it's not a real postseason.
Trash
now
take.
we don't get suits and ties. You're inviting asterisk talk, Tom Haberstroh. I don't like it.
It's a trash take because you're assuming that everything else in this situation is normal. It's not.
No, I'm not. It's just
like
another
showing
layer.
up. I remember, I remember one time I was meeting with an NBA coach, and a friend of mine was trying to get a job with that NBA coach. Okay, and he's like, pretty good, reputable resume, trying to break into the NBA world. And I said, hey, let's go out to lunch with this NBA coach. And he was like, okay, great. I'll be there. And the NBA coach and I are sitting there at dinner outside on a patio, kind of in shorts and a t-shirt. And in walks out of like an Uber, this, interviewee, right? The guy who's trying to get the job. He's in a full suit, tie and everything, sits down, and we're like, dude, you are way overdressed. And he was like, oh man, like I'm so bummed out. And it realized, like, I didn't tell him, like, hey, this is going to be casual, right? Like, I feel really bad. He got the job, okay? But imagine that happening at an NBA game where they're not even allowed to shower at the premise, at the games. They're not allowed to shower. So you're asking these players to bring a suit and wear it on the bench, and then they got the casualness and sweatiness of this game. I don't think it's up to the same. It's not a black tie affair like it is in a normal game. Like this is extreme circumstances. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna like put tarps, or not tarps, but like I think they do that at the Oakland A's, like the Oracle Coliseum, where they just put like ads on like big tarps on the seats, because in the upper deck at the Oakland games, there's just no one there. So instead they put like big logos or big ads across all the seats. And I think that's what's going to happen with the league, is that now those empty seats are going to be filled with just ads. And I am fine with the whole polo shirt thing. Like in my head, I was thinking they're going to like wear like polo shirts, like cotton polo shirts, but no, it's going to be team logo. And if you've been to any of these events, if you've been to Vegas, if you've been to All-Star Weekend, they're always in these outfits. So it's not a huge difference, my man.
I don't like it. Thumbs down for me. But you bring up something interesting. I didn't know what the seats looked like. Like if we had fans, you could put a decent amount of fans at these games where you would need tarps to cover that. You could have that with advertising.
Yeah, like if there was an empty arena, instead of just having a depressing empty, like filled with empty seats, you put like a basically like a wrap around the entire section. Right.
But is that the case in Orlando? Do you have a decent amount of seats there?
We'll see. I mean, it remains to be seen whether they're going to actually have seats there.
Yeah,
they're going to have seats for the second line bench coaches, the players. They're going to be spaced out, so it's not like when LeBron James sits down on the bench, he can't be sitting next to Anthony Davis. He has to be like several seats away, which is, you know what? To be honest, it's always stricken me. It's always struck me. It has always struck me odd how we smush these 7-foot giants in normal seats on the bench. They are packed in like sardines, and I can't imagine that's healthy for their bones and their bodies to be cramped in like in a suitcase while they're sitting there watching a game. But the problem is, Brian, is that the more real estate that you give to NBA players on a bench, the fewer real estate there is for money. So if you take up an extra 5 seats, that's 5 seats that you could be getting probably easily thousands of dollars.
No doubt about that. Yeah. Tom Haberstroh joins us here on the Brian Noe Show. Lou Williams, as you well know, he was talking to the league saying, hey, can we have a Black Lives Matter patch? Could we get Black Lives Matter on the court? What are some things that we might be able to anticipate the league doing in terms of bringing some focus and awareness to that movement?
I've heard Mark Spears from ESPN's The Undefeated mention that you might see players pushing for, in addition to the national anthem or in replace of the national anthem, you have some African-American folk songs or like songs of basically a Black Lives Matter anthem that would play after the anthem as a way to draw attention to the movement, or having players go on the mic and delivering a speech about, the issues at hand. I think a Black Lives Matter patch would be powerful. But I also understand that, look, they've got a patch for David Stern, who passed away this year. They've got a patch for Kobe Bryant. Is there another way that they can make a statement? So we'll see. I'm definitely expecting some sort of demonstration or some sort of remembrance or moment of solidarity, whether it's every game or online or what have you. I'm not quite sure, but I think the NBA players are definitely wanting to continue positive progress on this issue rather than just going to Orlando and forgetting about it.
Sure. If you look at Bronny James, he put out his top 5 players beyond his dad. Put LeBron to the side. He's not on this list. And his 5 players are Giannis, Harden, Dame, AD, and KD. So what do you think of the 5? If you have to add someone, you got to take someone away. How would you fine-tune Bronny's list?
Okay. KD's out. He's got an Achilles, torn Achilles. We haven't seen him play in a year. So I'm going to put him out, just DQ'd for not having played in a year. If he's healthy, he's top 5, top 3, top 1 player in the league. Who do I put? Kawhi Leonard up there. I take out Dame. Sorry, fans.
You let us down very gently here, Tom. Yeah.
Dame is top 10, but I probably take him out of the top 5. Okay. Kawhi is in there. LeBron is in there. Steph is in there. And James Harden, and then AD is a logical number 5. But I think when you talk about Damian Lillard, I think he has so much respect around the league and among athletes, because not only is he a winner, but he's a leader. And I think he just gets a lot of respect for being an intellectual, as really smart leader, and someone who's musically probably the most talented player in the league. So he's got a lot of that going on too. Is just, I think he's got, if not the highest Q rating amongst players, he's close up there.
We're going to come full circle here, because one of the first things that you said on the show today was that I had a trash take that I disagree with.
Oh boy.
In terms of polo shirts. And, I've got right here, I've got a little bit of a cherry Pop-Tart right here. And you, Tom William Kalakis Haberstroh, have the audacity and the gall to say that these aren't delicious. And you know what? I'll tell you what. You are sadly freaking mistaken.
Do you eat those with like Gerber? Are you an adult, or do you drink milk from the bottle? Like, what is have you grown up at all?
I have the neighbor burp me
that you would have when you were 3 years old, and it's like kind of like what is the fruit that tastes the least like the actual, like the candy fruit tastes least like the actual fruit? Cherry's got to be up there.
No way. Cherry still tastes delicious, though.
Banana candy flavor banana is disgusting.
Coconut is just like, whoa, that's coconut right there. There's no mistaking coconut.
Yeah. Banana never I've always thought the banana never really tastes like actual banana. But cherry, that's fine. Now, I don't eat cherry flavor anything, so I maybe am out of touch here. But I will say this. I want to get your take on my article I posted today. Okay? You want to talk about trash takes? I have been so annoyed with people saying that this season's champion is going to need an asterisk that I decided to write a column, Brian. No, and I'm sure the listeners out there will appreciate this. I went through every champion in NBA history, okay, and put an asterisk on it. if you're going to put an asterisk on this year's season, go to every single champion of NBA history, and you will find there is some unfair or lucky circumstances, just an illegitimacy about that championship that you could argue for every single championship. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Bill Walton breaks his foot 60 games into the season, 50-10. The Blazers were the best team in the NBA. And then he gets hurt and the Washington Bullets win the 78 championship. Asterisk. Okay. Asterisk. That's crazy. Like the Bullets didn't deserve to win because if Bill Walton's playing, that the Blazers are going to win the title that year. So asterisk. The year before, in 1977, I wrote, in the first season with the NBA-ABA merger, the Blazers made the playoffs for the first time and won the title all in the same season. Seems totally legitimate, except for this important detail. The NBA referees went on strike during the playoffs.
Asterisk.
Asterisk. So my point is, Brian, that last year, the Toronto Raptors won the championship.
Fully asterisk. You get no argument from me. I was banging that drum the whole time. They beat up the JV Warriors. We know if the Warriors are at full strength, that series doesn't go past 5.
Right. So just let this shower over you is that every single champion in NBA history, you can find things that paved the way for that champion that seems lucky, whether it's referees going on strike or whether it's players getting injured or referees making poor calls. I remember in the Lakers-Blazers championship where the Lakers beat the Blazers or in the Western Conference Finals, Game 7, Steve Smith drives to the basket, goes up for the layup, doesn't get the call.
No call.
Shaq destroys him, and they go on and win the championship. The Lakers do. And I'm like, all right, well, if we're going to give an asterisk to the Lakers this season or whatever it is for whatever happens in this postseason, like we could go back to every champion and find a moment or find a hugely swinging moment that their championship odds were given to them by some lucky break.
You know what you can't find, though? In history?
I had a take so loud that a photo frame fell off my table over there.
You're bringing the fire today.
Or there's a ghost in here. Either one.
But what you can't find in those previous years, polo shirts. Can't find it.
I'm sure you could.
You can find it this year, though, and it invites asterisk talk, which I don't like, Tom Haberstroh.
I know. Well, I put it out on Twitter, Brian. I said, okay, I'm going to say it. The 2019-20 NBA champion deserves an asterisk, joining a select group of NBA titles in NBA history. And then I provided the link, and everyone bit and just thought that I was legitimately arguing that this year needed an asterisk. And so many people didn't even read the article. They were just like, that's ridiculous. It's a global pandemic. Every team is following the same protocols. How is it going to need an asterisk? I'm like, dude, you did not read the article. It is clear you just told on yourself. And so I got a lot of clicks on it today. And I know the Blazers are not going to like the ones where I discredit the Blazers championships, but it's all tongue in cheek. It's trying to make a larger point, which is every title has a little ounce of illegitimacy to it, and that shouldn't change what's going to happen this year. There's going to be some talk about asterisk, but ignore it. Every team that wins a championship has a little bit of luck, and I think this year is going to be no different.
I love it, man. Absolutely great stuff, Tom Haberstroh. You do amazing work. I can overlook your crazy take about being anti-cherry Pop-Tarts because of the great work you do and the great human being you are. And if anybody wants to support what you're doing for ALS.
Handlebars for Hope. So it's hashtag handlebars for the number 4 hope. Go check it out. If you have a quarantine beard and you want to do something fun, do something cool for a good cause, join up on my Twitter feed, and we'll be raising money too.
All right, man. Well, hey, dude, always great catching up with you, bud. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll do this again sometime soon. I will try to up the ante with my takes, so you will be on board with them next time.
Thank you, and I'm going to go put on a polo shirt for you.
All right, sounds great. There he is, Tom William Kalakis Haberstroh.